Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making a Fondant Baby Yoda. To begin, I have printed out a photo of the Baby Yoda which I have covered in tape and cut out. I printed the image the exact size that I wanted my Fondant Yoda to be to make this recreation easier. I rolled out light green fondant and laid cling wrap over the fondant and used a cutter to cut out an oval face. This gives the shape more of a bubble effect. The fondant for the face was quite thick, maybe 5 to 6 millimeters. Using the same thickness of green fondant, I cut out 2 teardrops for the ears. Then use a combination of my fingers, the ball tools and other modelling tools to help shape the 2 ears. I'm just using the ball tool to work the ear back and forth to give it a bit more dimension and shape. And then using my blade tool to help shape the left ear. I then press the ears around the face and see if I need to cut off a bit of excess fondant for the ears to be able to sit better on the face. I attach these with water and continue to use the ball tool to mould the shape of the ears like the image that I printed. Then pop that aside while I work on making Baby Yoda's robe. Rolling out brown fondant, not as thick as the face and ears, maybe only 2 to 3 millimeters. I cut around the robe template. I then cut out another piece of brown fondant for the collar of the robe. I stick this down with water and then using the blade tool to mark a line where the collar joins. I then mark a line down the rest of the center of the robe. I then stick on the cuffs of the robe to give it more dimension. I just cut them out with the same fondant I used for the whole robe. Using the same blade tool, I make creases to make the robe look more worn and also give it some more texture. Then using the star tool, I start pressing lightly on the collar to make tiny dents in the fondant. I did this over the whole collar to give it another texture from the rest of the robe. Also in the photo, it almost looks like this part of the robe is lined with wool. I then roll 2 balls of light green fondant to make them into 2 little hands and using the blade tool to shape the hands once attached to the robe. I'm happy with how Yoda's body is looking now, so I'm going to pop that to the side and let that set while I finish the face. I start by cutting out the Yoda template's eyes so that I can use the template for placement and sizing of the eyes on the fondant. I score the eyes on Yoda's face using a blade tool. Using the ball tool, I start to work the fondant to make these markings into eye sockets. Once the sockets were deep enough, I then rolled 1 ball of brown fondant, maybe the size of a hazelnut, and cut that in half to put in those sockets. You don't want the brown eyes to be flush with the green face, you want them to stick out slightly. I didn't get any footage of me making his button nose, but I just rolled out a tiny ball of green fondant and stuck it between his eyes with water. I started to mark out his cheeks and mouth, pressing the fondant down to give him really defined cheeks. And realised I didn't have enough fondant on his forehead. I cut out a thick piece of green fondant to attach to the forehead, touching the nose and also the top of the ears. Sticking the fondant down with water, using my fingers to press and mould it to the ears, making it look extra seamless. Using the blade tool, I start to mark the creases on the side of his eyes and also on his nose. Then use the blade tool to score in the forehead lines. Using a really fine ball tool, I start to make the mouth more defined. I then rolled out 2 tiny balls of black fondant for his irises. Once pressed into place, I then rolled out 2 smaller balls of white fondant for the catch lights. I press those into place with a ball tool. I then rolled 2 small logs of green fondant to make eyelids for Yoda and attach them with a bit of water. Going back in with the modelling tool to help push those eyelids into place. Once I was happy with how the face was coming along, I brushed a bit of water on the edge of the brown fondant where Yoda's face will slot in. I then used edible paint in brown and black to paint over the eyes. Then using my modelling tool to poke 2 nostrils into the little nose. I then painted both inner ears with a creamy light pink colour. I also painted the cheeks with an edible purple paint. Use the excess purple paint to dust the top of the nose and also the eyelids. Then using a very minimal amount of brown edible food paint to brush over the forehead. This is to make the forehead marks more defined. I then decided that Yoda needed more of a chin, so I separated the head quickly from the body to give a more defined chin using the blade tool. Just marked out a round chin and then using the blade tool to press the rest of the fondant back to represent the neck. I then stick the head back to the body again. I let this set for around 24 hours. That is how I made this Baby Yoda out of fondant. Stay tuned for next week's video where I show you how to make this Star Wars cake using the Baby Yoda that I made today. If you liked this video and want to see more tutorials all things baking and cake decorating, please like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any videos. I upload every Wednesday. See you next time!